Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Recreation Rooster. This is Dan Chiavo again with my co-host Maisha Jones.
Hello,
Here
guys.
we are, yeah, and another episode of Recreation Rooster. So, um, it's been, I guess, a second season, so we're rolling right along, and we got another full episode with you today.
Yes, yes. And before we get started, let's talk about this rivalry that's going on between our hosts. Me, I'm
Yeah,
a Dodgers fan, and
yeah.
Dan is a Yankee, Yankee
That's
fan.
right. Yeah. What a
So we've been
terrible ending last night.
Yes,
Uh,
indeed. It's
yeah,
been an amazing World Series this year. We're really enjoying the rivalry, and of course, us
yeah,
being recreation therapists, we love everything about sports.
yeah, yeah. It's gonna be a very, very interesting, intense World Series. It really is. Yeah, they should not have put in Nestor Cortez last night. That led up the home run. So, but anyway, yeah, that was pretty bad. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was.
every neighborhood in Los Angeles was screaming during the 11th inning of the game. So yeah, it was quite exciting. We're looking forward to game three, which is tonight, right? And
Game two is tonight.
game
Yeah, yeah. Game three is Monday.
that's
Yeah. So yeah, we have yeah, the games now yesterday and today are in Los Angeles. Since yeah, Los Angeles Dodgers finished with the better record. Game and then tomorrow's a travel day. Game three, four, and five are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So at Yankee Stadium.
in
So
New York. Yeah.
yeah. And then Thursday's a travel day back to LA, and game six and seven, if there is game six and seven, will be in Los Angeles.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
oh, very exciting. Mhm.
So we shall see what happens.
Yeah.
We we're having a great time just with all the different, professional sport teams season starting. I mean, we just had NBA start as well.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's just a great time to be a recreation therapist and to be a sports enthusiast. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with episode two of season two right now.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. We're gonna start with the quote of the day, I guess. And that's the thing. There's always so many to uh yeah, there's always so many to choose from. Um, I guess I could say that for this one, therapeutic recreation is about not looking at the capabilities of the individuals, but the abilities that make the individual who they are. So,
Hmm,
um,
like
that's
that.
one way to look at it. Well, I mean, we're always looking at people's capabilities. It is a very strengths-based field, but really, it's ultimately including people's capabilities. It's about uh, the abilities that make people who they are.
Yeah, uniquely themselves, right?
Yeah.
And
Uh,
understanding the abilities doesn't necessarily have to be something that others benefit from. It can be just something very intrinsic that the person benefits from that makes them very unique and different and original and authentic. And I love everything about being authentic and original. What
right.
what a world we would be in if everyone was the same. It'd be such a boring place, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, everybody really is an individual. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Everybody really is an individual. It really is. Uh, that it is a very, very exciting time. Uh, And I mean, every time is really an exciting time. just to be alive. So, and but in this culture, everybody wants you to do something, be be this, be that, be that, uh, you know, work, go to school, whatever. Uh, people, just being, just being. There's something to be said about just being who you
Mhm.
are, uh, authentically who you are. I mean, after people, some people carry their identity with their job,
Yeah.
but when they retire, they lose that identity. So they have to, I mean, it's being content with being a person, not necessarily a firefighter or whatever your profession was. So, and that's why I kind of like that because it kind of, you know, it kind of describes that we help people define who they are and figure out who
Yeah.
they are. Uh, so, yeah,
Absolutely. We create such a non-judgmental space. I think the thing that we do as therapists is that we do tend to aid in shaping um, whatever the decision is to ensure that safety and health and wellness is preserved. So, that is one thing that we definitely do. Mm-hmm. Definitely. I like that quote. I like that quote of the day. Thank you for mentioning that because it also speaks to the fact that so much of what we do is client centered as well.
mm,
Um, in that even though we may do we may do an assessment tool that assesses functionality, we oftentimes take into strong consideration a person's goals, short-term and long-term goals, and self view of themselves and a view of who they find themselves to be in the next, year, the next month, the next 5 years, the next 10 years, that we're constantly an evolving human being, right? That we're not the same person we was yesterday. And it gives a certain amount of hope and optimism to, recovery and to really celebrating and enjoying this beautiful thing we call life as well. So I really like that quote. And I know we spent a good little time talking about that quote, but that was a good quote. I must admit, that was a really good quote. So
yeah,
let's, yeah,
yeah. I
definitely.
mean, really, we're in the quality of life business as much as we are in a. I mean, of course, they always want outcomes and stuff in terms of functional outcomes in many ways, the insurance companies and stuff. But just getting somebody to be happier, um, improving their quality of life, isn't that what life is part of really all about? Or whatever, really? Yeah. That's kind of the business in the way we're in. So,
Absolutely. And
yeah.
next up, guys, our next segment is Song of the Day. Take it away,
Hmm.
Dan.
Yeah, and Time to Remember with Billy Joel. You know, just thinking about, I mean, and you could talk about how precious time is in a way, and just remembering the moments that give us joy and happiness is very important. Taking the time to remember and just enjoying everything that we got going on in life is really important.
Yeah, living in the
So,
moment and showing great gratitude for what we have. And I love me some Billy Joel. And I tell you,
yeah,
he's such a great songwriter, vocalist, and musician. He's just like the triple threat, as well. And a lot of his music is so like timeless and classic and so relatable to the American or even the global experience that people have. So that's a great song of the day. Thank you for mentioning that. And next up,
yeah,
guys, our next segment is on advocacy, amplifying our voices. And today we wanted to focus on building partnerships with sister disciplines and how important that is in amplifying our voices. By us having allyship with different disciplines, it allows us to speak the mission, purpose, and vision of recreation therapy and how impactful recreation therapy can be in environments, in rooms, in markets, in populations, in health delivery systems that may not have recreation therapists in them. And when you have someone who is outside of your discipline champion your discipline, boy, it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes and it makes people super curious about, tell me more. Matter of fact, let me meet a recreation therapist. Let's invite them into the room. Let's invite them into the space. Let's integrate them into our healthcare system, our health system. So building those sister alliances. And when we say sister disciplines, we are referring to social work, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speaking language practitioners, special education, teachers and aides, and doctors across multiple disciplines. I know me myself, I oftentimes have found untraditional bedfellows when it came to the missions and goals that I've tried to accomplish being a recreation therapist practitioner in the private sector. I find that you can build very amicable alliances with chiropractors, cardiologists, so many people from so many different walks of life and specializations that could benefit from the sustainability in the non-invasive interventions that we use in our day-to-day practice as recreation therapists. What's your thoughts on that, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, yeah, we are uniquely kind of a discipline that can build partnerships and reciprocal relationships. And it is important to, advocate for our profession, but also, um, work with helping the other professions. If they see us as an ally, they're also probably more likely to help us. So,
So, just a couple of pointers on how do you actually build these alliances, these um, alliances with sister disciplines. Well, first and foremost, a simple hello and an invitation to view your programming, a simple hello and invitation to be involved in a case study, a simple hello and request to be involved in their case studies and research, a request to be involved in the different metrics and caregivers and consumers, clients, patients to complete upon beginning of care, midway in care, and discharge of care. Asking to be included. That's one of the biggest things. And then, of course, another big thing with all of this is understanding the jargon within certain sister disciplines, understanding it, and then also being patient and also being flexible when it comes to sharing and building awareness about the jargon and the scope of practice and the day-to-day operations that we have as recreation therapy practitioners to these other disciplines. Getting those sound bites in those moments and really being very efficient, cordial, polite, and understanding in your dialogue with these sister disciplines is super critical to ensure that you can have an authentic interaction with them. We don't want to pressure anyone or make anybody feel forced, but we definitely want our presence to be felt. So like I said, a lot of it is simple, hello on a day-to-day basis and building that rapport. What's your thoughts on that, Dan?
yeah, exactly. I mean, building rapport, listening to what they have to say, really listening to what they have to say, and kind of let them know you're listening and,
Yeah.
you understand what they're saying and value what they're saying. And that's also a way to build relationships really the same way you would with anybody else, pretty much. But of course, take an interest in learning about the other disciplines as well.
Right,
Uh-huh.
right. Just to give an example, at Greater Los Angeles VA, we had an opportunity to have an alliance with the acupuncture service. So we were able to fulfill a need. So the need was that in our community living centers, which are like nursing homes for veterans, um, we began to offer battlefield acupuncture, which is a Eastern medicine practice that aids veterans in stress reduction, right, and pain management. Also, oftentimes it is used in the treatment of PTSD as a non-invasive treatment. So this particular service, these acupuncturists, they did not have a place to actually perform acupuncture 2 times a week. And it just so happened that we had a snozzling sensory room that was available during the time slots that acupuncturists needed. So we were able to set up an alliance whereas acupuncturists refer veterans to us for sensory stim. And we allowed acupuncturists to use our sensory room during certain blocks of time outside of our programming hours. It became an environment where they even referred clients to us for continuity of care and sustainable, healthy, and well lifestyle management supports for veterans that they were treating twice a week. So it became a very mutually beneficial arrangement, and never once would I have thought that acupuncturists would be referring clients to recreation therapists and we doing reverse, but it actually worked out really great. So that's a very just non-traditional way. We seen a need, we satisfied the need, we haggled and negotiated so that we would also benefit as recreation therapists, and then we got extra exposure to clients, and also a in agreement, or I would say accolades from our acupuncturists regarding the treatment that they seen we do with clients and the improved health outcomes, that the tangible KPIs, the tangible metrics of improved health outcomes that came from the collaboration. So that's just one example. Yeah.
Mm,
All right, guys.
great.
Our next segment Our next segment is Behind the Numbers, where we're talking about hidden caregivers of military families. This became a hot topic on the national news last week regarding hidden caregivers of military families. So these are military families whose loved ones have went off for deployment and have returned home, but have returned home unwell. And oftentimes people do tend to focus on the spouse, but there are other caregivers in the household who also aid in managing and mitigating risks with unwell veterans who have returned home. And oftentimes those are the children of recently deployed or recently discharged veterans. Oftentimes these children take on caregiving roles, and they take on roles that are really outside of their capacity, and they suffer in silence, right? Children oftentimes are resilient and have ways of masking the bad times, only focusing on the good times, and taking on the heavy burden of caregiving for adults when it should be the other way around. So now there is a new campaign that's in place, and there's actually a few VAs that, Department of Defense bases that actually offer um, psychosocial and psycho-emotional rehabilitation programming with recreation therapists that focus on the children of veterans, these hidden caregivers. And I think it's a great program. What do you think, Dan?
No question about it. Very
Yeah.
great. Yeah. Very great. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good
So
that they're doing that.
yeah, look into your local Department of Defense bases and also on USA jobs.gov. And you'll find these very unique programs that are focused just on the children of veterans, helping them to manage the secondary, traumas that they experience when their parents or loved ones come home with PTSD or other ailments or prosthesis or different things they may come home with after, battling in a war. So I think it is great that
Yeah.
this program is in place. And this is something that more and more RT should be involved with, and more of these programs should be opened all over the nation. I would even say all over the world, where we have military families living on military bases.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, really, the lives of people in the military have been upended upon return here. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, on a lighter note, we're going to go to our next segment, which is Behind the Numbers. Whoop, nope. History of Therapeutic Recreation, where we talk about the
Mhm.
origins. Go ahead, take
Right.
it away, Dan.
Yeah. I mean, of course, actually, the military is one of the origins, actually, from wars. It's recreation people have been going in and engaging people in the military while they're on base as well. But of course, even here, definitely, was some social reformers who have been, I guess, charged with that. Jane Addams and the Whole House, that was out of Chicago area,
Mhm.
and that was really a place that really gave a social recreation kind of a um, support for people. A lot of them seem to be immigrants um, who have come, back in the I guess, late 1900s, early, late, I'm sorry, not 1900, oh, late 1800s, early 1900s, when there was a lot of flux of immigrants coming in and, needing that social support and uh, a place to go. And, that was kind of what Jane Addams and the Whole House did. It kind of gave them that kind of place to go where they could convene with others and integrate their culture into this culture.
Oh, so in many respects, like you said, integration into a new society.
Yeah, right, yeah, yeah, and getting people to see the different cultures all over the world because we are cultures from all over the world in this
Yeah.
country. That's basically part of the lovely aspect of it is
Yes,
that
it
there's a
is.
lot of diversity right here in this country.
Building tolerance for each other, right? Absolutely.
Right.
And
Yeah.
cultural awareness. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. Was there anything else you wanted to mention on the history of TR?
No, how about you? Anything? No.
Well, I do know that there was a great need within the military to offer social engagement for veterans as they return home. As you mentioned before, we the term of therapeutic recreation was coined in the military, um, and we're
Yeah.
very proud of that. So it's so interesting to be working in the VA just full circle and seeing how it's such a great system and it's such a great army of recreation therapists that work in the VA. So I'm just very honored to serve the veterans who served us first and to ensure that we can have healthy, happy, and safe veteran communities as they reintegrate into civilian life, as we call it in the VA. Absolutely. And next up, guys, our next segment is nuts and bolts of TR. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, indeed. And today I'm going to talk about finding entertainment. I mean, this is something, I mean, oftentimes I've been lucky to have entertainers already in place or list of entertainers that have come with me. But of course, when you're out in the community seeing what entertainers are performing at local restaurants and other venues, community centers, nightclubs, etc., is a good way to get entertainers and obtain those. Now everything's a lot more accessible via the internet. You could probably look up a lot of those places and a lot of what's happening via the
So true.
internet. But I mean, but yeah, I mean, of course, entertainers could definitely, well, really enhance programs. So, especially big programs like birthday parties and other kinds of celebrations. Yeah, Christmas.
Absolutely. And oftentimes I say also with finding entertainment, getting that, that referral from a trusted friend or a
Yeah,
trusted colleague is gold. Because anyone can get on a Google search and have their name, but when they have a great reputation and
yeah,
they have a standard contract and they have just established relationships with the community, and there's a demand for the type of entertainment that they provide by the clients. It's just an automatic win.
yeah.
Finding and procuring the monies to pay for the entertainment is essential as well. Finding out if there's any kind of incentivized, pay for, five gigs, get the sixth one free, any kind of incentivization that's in place as well that can help to mitigate costs, minimize costs is super important as well. And then oftentimes I say when you're sourcing new entertainment, go and see the entertainment before you have them come to your organization with your clients. So you can really make sure that the quality is up
Mhm.
to what is going to be desired by your clientele, and that the images, the brand is in line with your organization, or that it is not in conflict with your organization. That's super important too. Yeah.
No doubt about it. Yeah, I mean that's why, like sources from people who know what you're looking for. Those are sometimes good, uh, golden. Yeah, because they know what you're looking for. So.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And our next segment, guys, is on clinical applications. And, and I wanted to let you guys know. So, for the next few weeks, we're going to be focusing primarily on the Red Book. And we're going to be choosing different leisure inventories, assessment tools, assessment surveys. And we're going to, give just quick summaries on select ones that we hold near and dear that we find to be very um, pertinent and essential in clinical assessment of our clients, and those that can also be utilized in community settings that might be more so of a survey, surveying the needs, wants of different community populations that you may serve. So with that being said, the first one, which I think is a very familiar one to everyone, is the leisure diagnostic battery, which is the
Mhm.
LDBA. Oftentimes, this is used in multiple settings. Many people enjoy this particular assessment tool because it does use a quantifying metric to reduce bias and to give more of an objectable um, view of the functionality of a client. It covers multiple areas of functionality as well, and it is a standardized tool. It's very easy to score, and it's easy to interpret, and it's also easy to explain to laymen and to different persons in the treatment team It also is very easy to track progress with your clients when you utilize this assessment tool during admission and also during any type of change in condition with your clients. I find it to be a great tool. I love the fact that it gives a quantifying number. That's a big plus for me. This LDBA can be found in your Red Book, which I call the Recreation Therapy Bible. And I have mine, and I encourage you to keep yours and open it up and utilize those great tools that have been standardized and peer reviewed and put into books so that practitioners like you and I will have quantifiable methods and assessment screening tools when we are, when we're doing our report writing. Yeah, so that is the one that I wanted to mention for today. And next up is private practice tips. So, like all things, let's talk about insurance and why it is so important in private practice. Number one, it is absolutely mandatory to have 3 million aggregate insurance if you ever want to work in any hospital setting or in any health system that has like community-based clinics, any type of inpatient or outpatient clinics or units as well. It is mandatory that you, as that consultant or contractor or subcontractor, that you have this in place. Whereas if you cause any harm in these settings, you'll be able to have insurance to cover you. Oftentimes, some people get their insurance through HPSO, which is the Health Professionals and Service Organization. And I've also seen liability insurance be sold through some of our major providers like Geico, Allstate, a bunch of different providers that you may actually carry your auto insurance through. I also encourage you that if you're able to bundle all your insurances together, do so. It really does help to save money. I also wanted to mention, on top of your own professional liability insurance, you do have liability insurance, which gives you bonds if you own a business where you hire employees and you offer a service to private, public, or governmental sectors as well. That business insurance will protect you if you ever find yourself in a lawsuit. I know here in California in particular, everybody's really sue happy. And I think they're really sue happy in New York too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
So, so with that being said, it's essential that you do carry at least the basics of it all, which is your professional liability insurance, your business insurance. There are other insurance products as well that are utilized as well. I do know that several contractors, like who might be full-time contractors, they do carry their own health insurance, and they carry insurance if they ever get, hurt at work and different things like that. Because fortunately, we as RTs, we find ourselves, unless we're doing like adventure based or different type of more active, like high risk type of programming, we do find ourselves able to practice our field and have minimal risk for many years. But that is just a short snippet on insurance, and we can have much more in-depth conversations on insurance on our next episode.
yeah,
All right. So we have this new segment called Looking Forward. Looking Forward in Recreation Therapy. And this new segment focuses on us building a vision of where we see recreation going from today, right? Building that 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 15 year, 25 year, 35 year, 50 year plan. And with that being said, today for the looking forward segment, we wanted to talk about how does a 40-hour-a-week rank and file recreation therapy practitioner expand to private practice. Oftentimes, what happens is a lot of recreation therapists, they begin with the simply being requested to offer more hours outside of their standard 40-hour work week. It could be a previous employer that wants to offer you per diem work. It could be an agency that reaches out to you. It could be a caregiver or even a consumer that reaches out to you after you finish treatment with them within a clinic or within an assisted living or within a unit. And these moonlighting hours outside of your 40-hour work week deems you to be a vendorized contractor. So you become a 1099 vendor. And oftentimes, many RTs they branch out in that respect, where either they are taking on a second job to make more income at another agency, or they have been requested to offer additional services outside the services that they did within the 40-hour work week. When you become that 1099 contractor, it's essential that you know or have I would say a baseball park figure of what your hourly rate will be, what services you will be offering, and also what you won't be doing. You need to know both. Also too, I would also say never, ever, ever work without a contract signed. A handshake will not do in the field that we're in. You need to have a contract signed, even if it's just the most basic contract. Just have something in writing. And then also to have a mechanism in place for payment. You don't want to work and not get paid. So have a mechanism in place for payment after you've discussed what your rate is going to be. Make it very clear and to the point. And then also keep very thorough and accurate records of the services that you have provided and the invoicing of monies that should be paid to you. And we can delve into that a lot more too, but that's the start.
Yeah.
That is definitely the start. All right. We do have a bonus segment, guys. So the bonus segment is a segment that kind of spoke to me and Dan's minds and hearts as something that we wanted to address to our recreation therapy colleagues. And today our bonus segment is for new professionals, those fresh out of school or fresh out of getting their credential and they're jumping out there into the workforce. And our bonus segment is getting into your first 12 months as a recreation therapy practitioner. So we wanted to give you just a few pointers. I know I've been talking for a good little bit, so I'm going to give Dan opportunity to give some pointers, and then I'll shore it up on the back end with pointers for the first 12 months of working as a recreation therapist. These are the pointers we want to give you.
Right. Yeah. And that is kind of the whole what we're gonna discuss is the first 12 months, you've just become a recreational therapist. Maybe you're out of school, you're just fresh out of college, or you're changing careers, whatever is the case with you, you're, now a recreational therapist. Um, first of all, make sure you get certified. That's critical. And also, yeah, the second thing is to build your network. Don't limit yourself. Everybody that you meet, keep track of who it is, keep track of how to get in touch with them. Um, have all of that information written down, all those names, all those contacts, and figure out where you want to. I mean, try new things. Try, uh, you know, branching out possibly into private practice. There's more ways than ever to do it now. I mean, you can get, uh, show that we kind of own the health and wellness space in a way. Uh, we could do, wellness based practices with people, of course, Upwork and Fiverr and freelancing and other people on some of those sites are looking for guidance, support, wellness coaching, etc. So, uh, you know, be apply for those kind of positions, get a 1099 type of a work stream, know what you have to offer the different businesses and the different people. You can put together uh, different presentations on different topics, and then you can present them to different organizations, recreational therapy departments, etc. So, uh, you know, be part of your state and local organizations, and federal organizations, ATRA, NYSTRA, whatever it is, you know, NJ, Eastern Pennsylvania, the one that we have in New Jersey. So all of that, very important. And yeah, go to conferences, connect with your alma maters. Of course, you also have career services available to you at a lot of those uh, colleges and universities that you went to, and other areas that are they provide services to alumni, of course, your colleges. So take advantages of the resources available to you, and that's about it. Yeah. Do you have anything
Yeah,
else to
so
add? Hmm.
so I
Yeah.
was just gonna say, I really think majority of the things you mentioned spot on. I do think that within the first 12 months, especially if you have just come into the profession, you should not be doing anything on the private side unless you are going in to shadow and be
Good point.
mentored and
Yeah.
by someone who's already in that area. Okay. I think
Okay.
also too, your first 12 months, understand you'll be under very close supervision by your fellow recreation therapists that are already heavily into the field, have been in the field for a number of years. Be a sponge. Soak in as much information and knowledge to the nuances of the practical and technical application of what we do on a day-to-day basis. Because those are the type of things that a book can't teach you. Okay. Also, to understand you stand 10 toes down into your profession and your scope of practice. Keep your books. Do not sell your books. Keep a reference library. When you go and you co-treat or you're learning from another therapist, don't be shy about asking for a copy of that curriculum or asking for a copy of that worksheet. Okay. And then re-envisioning it and reimagining how it can be tailored to your clients. Okay. Definitely do that. But remember, your first 12 months, you're a sponge, is what you are. Get in contact with, like Dan mentioned before, your organizations, your collectives, and just ask many, many questions. There is no question that should not be asked. Take many, many opportunities to work with nonprofits that actually have RTs on staff and shadow them and learn as well. And when you find yourself in crisis and you don't know what direction to turn to, if your supervisor is not an RT, find an RT. Okay, that's why it's so critical that you go into these collectives and these professional associations where you can actually work alongside and be encouraged, empowered, and edified by other RTs. So I would say within the 12 months, that's what you do. In every program that you design and create and facilitate, do a program evaluation behind it so you can weigh the pros, cons, and what needs to be changed. And then I want you to file it. And I want you to set up your files for different social domains and interventions. Set up your files. I can't stress enough the importance of that. Set up your files so you can go into your files and you can offer diverse programming, not the same thing all the time. And understand too, the superpower you have in being a new RT is that one, you are at the pulse of what the modern age is, and also you are a different mind. You come from a different era. So your creativity is it's up there, okay? So relish that, brainstorm, have powwows, have program planning meetings, set time aside for documentation, harness your documentation skills, harness your speaking skills, okay? Harness your bedside manner, right? Begin to read books, begin to learn the jargon of other disciplines. It's so much that comes into place. Make sure you get your rest, drink your water, be mindful of your own emotions. Don't take everything so personal. Be open to constructive criticism as well. So there's a bunch of things that happens in the 12 to 24 months that can really set you to a trajectory that's out of this world and make you an amazing therapist. And understand you will make mistakes. Don't beat yourself up for making the mistakes. Take it as the growing pains of learning and evolving into this great recreation therapist. So with that being said, that's what you do your first 12 months.
I love it.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
next up, guys, we do have a new segment. It's called State of the Profession, where we talk about our thoughts on where the profession is currently. And we will
Well,
be
wait,
doing,
what about, yeah, iron sharpens iron,
oh,
workplace dynamics,
thank
yeah.
you, Dan.
Uh,
Thank you,
mhm,
Dan.
right.
Dan's gonna keep me on point. So this segment is Iron Sharpens Iron, where we talk about workplace dynamics. And we wanted to just speak, candidly about justifying TR and RT services to your direct supervisor. So just giving the scenario that your direct supervisor is not an RT, okay? The ways in which you justify your services, especially if there is something like, going on organizational wise, like it could be cutting of staff and different things like that. Justifying why RT and TR should stay in programming is essential. And oftentimes, when you have an supervisor who is not an RT, they're looking at the numbers, right? So, oftentimes, if you find yourself in a situation where feel as though you need to justify why your department even exists, always take into account the number of direct and indirect care hours. Always take into account the and its inverse relationship with length of stay and aggression and assaults. They love to talk about length of stay, aggression and assaults. Those two things are big catchphrases that supervisors oftentimes think about, because there is a inverse relationship between programming and recreation therapy and reducing stress, anger, anxiety, and aggression and violence. And there is also an inverse relationship between increase in recreation therapy programming and length of stay, meaning there is a reduction in length of stay. There is a reduction in recidivism when a client engages in recreation therapy, because what happens is it aids the client in developing the skills and accessing resources to help them to manage themselves, meaning less crisis, right? So oftentimes what I do is I focus on those things. And then regarding direct and indirect programming hours, oftentimes RTs, we blow other disciplines out of the water when it comes to the number of programming hours we have and the number of touch points that we have with clients, because we do work in groups settings majority of times, 1-to-1s, 1-to-3s, 1-to-6s, 1-to-8s, 1-to-12s, 1 to 15. Some even people even do 1 to 20s when it comes to staffing ratio, when it comes to groups. So we do have a unique vantage point as community builders and advocates, and also healthcare practitioners for our clients. So I would focus on those things when you find yourself in a situation where you are having to justify why the RT is even in the building. Yeah. Yeah. And next up, guys, we do have our second to the last segment is on state of the profession, where we talk about our thoughts on the current profession, where we see the profession moving forward as well. So with that being said, I will let Dan speak on the state of the profession in our multi-episode agenda for this particular segment.
Right. I mean, basically, it's a SWOC analysis. We're going to do strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, challenges of the profession.
Yeah.
So in this case, I mean, we're going to start to talk about strengths. We are the strengths of the profession. I guess you could kind of say that we are uh, needed, and the pandemic kind of showed that we're needed because, we were essential staff in many of these cases. So, I mean, that really kind of gave us some leverage to some degree, which has maybe been going away a little bit now that we're getting post-pandemic. But, um, we are a greatly needed profession. I think that a lot more people saw that. I know that we were getting a little bit more recognition. I know Cuomo in one of his addresses mentioned us. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, uh, I mean, we also have. Um, it's a population that is getting to be has some evidence-based practices that uh, and we have a lot of very good people in the field, very good skills that they have. Um, but yeah, these practices can be duplicated and reinforced throughout the country and beyond. So, and it really does help. Like, I mean, it's definitely one of those things that's been shown. Like, leisure education helps people with substance abuse from relapsing, etc. So, uh, that's one thing that really does make a difference. Um, so yeah, those are, I guess, some of the strengths I could think
Thank
of.
you. Thank you. And
Yeah.
guys, I want to tell you guys how amazing you are as practitioners and why we tend to steam once we embrace the full scope of practice that we have as recreation therapists, how we're able to steamroll over the rest of the disciplines, how we're able to steamroll over the rest of the allied health professionals. First and foremost, we are holistic. The traditional healthcare model is slowly shifting in the direction of what we've always been: holistic, experiential, utilizing non invasive interventions that are sustainable. Okay. We are,
Integrating people back into the community. Yeah.
we are
Uh-huh.
client centered as well.
Uh-huh.
Another
Right.
beautiful thing about us, we are allowed to use creativity in our interventions. Our interventions does not require us to be in a hospital setting. We don't have to be bedside. We can be bedside. We can be off unit. We can be we can be in the forest. We can be in the ocean. We can be anywhere. We can make anywhere a clinical space for us to affect positive change and optimize functionality for our clients. We are lifestyle managers. We don't just interact with our clients for 6 weeks, 7 weeks because of a referral. We are lifetime lifestyle managers. We have long lasting relationships with our clients. We are great when we liaise with clients who may be experiencing trauma, recovery, polytrauma, other ailments, other chronic ailments, comorbidities, right? We not only treat our clients, but we also engage in family resocialization. We help clients to re-identify themselves, different transitions in their life. There's so many things that we do on the macro functional level that improves health and wellness for the clients and health outcomes for the clients that we are unstoppable. We need to know our worth, and we need to be able to quantify the qualitative and the quantitative metrics that we have in place for our clients. Quantify them, to put them in writing, to be able to to interpret them, to articulate them, and to set up new, amazing, creative plans of care. And the beauty of it all is that now the average patient, the average client, that's what they want. That's what they want. Let's give them what they want. That is our superpower. We have all these other folks pinching off at our scope of practice and capitalizing. Let's do it. We have the skill sets. We have the know-how. Now have the gumption to stand 10 toes down into your scope of practice and rise and shine and change the world. So we are definitely strength-based. Know your worth, recreation therapists. If you don't know, no one else is going to tell you, because right now they're eating off of your scope of practice. So this is the first segment of this SWOT analysis. And you know what? I could probably talk about strengths on the next segment. We're going to talk about weaknesses though. But I want this to drive dialogue and conversation. I want people to drop the strengths of recreation therapy in the chat, in the message, in the chat box for this particular YouTube, episode, so that we can really delve into all the things that makes us so creative, so amazingly creative. Our creativity is our superpower. I'm telling you, our programming skills is our superpower. Our evaluative skills are our superpower. The fact that we approach a whole person holistically is our superpower. Okay? So let's own it, grow, expand, and change the world. Mic drop.
Yeah, absolutely. That was wonderful.
Yeah. And next up is our last segment for today. We want to thank you so much for hanging in there with us and with me and Dan as we just, talk about how amazing it is to be a recreation therapist. So our last segment is the Recreation Rooster stamp of approval, where we acknowledge an organization or an individual for all the great strides that they do in the recreation therapy profession. And today we wanted to acknowledge the Dean of Recreation Therapy Services for Cal State University Long Beach, Mr. Dr. Terry Robertson. This man is simply amazing. He is an author. He is an edifier of the profession. He is a consummate professional. He's a delight to be around. He is a resource and he is a friend. He is an ally. He is a practitioner. And he is a guiding light for many, many recreation therapists all over the nation who seek his guidance, his resource, be it in his publications or just speaking to him in person. And me personally, being a recreation therapy private practice owner, he also pours into me as a recreation therapy private practice owner, helping me to navigate sometimes the harsh oceans of getting contracts and making sure that consumers have access to recreation therapy as a direct provider. So I want to give a Recreation Rooster stamp of approval to Dr. Terry Robertson of Cal State University, Long Beach.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, guys, With that being said, we want to thank you so much for tuning in to season 2, episode 2 of Recreation Rooster Podcast, where we are a podcast for recreation and health enthusiasts. Okay. We want you guys to have a great day. Like, share, and add, and please comment. We would love to interact. We are always taking bookings to offer our show at conferences, different meetings, collectives, schools and universities, nonprofits, all type of different agencies. We are definitely here to serve. I
Yeah.
am Maisha. I'm Maisha. You can reach me at Maisha at recreationrooster.org. I'm also the owner of New Horizons Concierge Firm based out of Los Angeles, serving worldwide, and the manager, recreation manager over at Greater Los Angeles, VA. You can reach me at 213-524-6925. And Dan?
Yeah, Dan, you have a Leisure Dan Consulting Services, 845-987-0104, 845-987-0104. Or you could do Daniel at recreationrooster.org, Daniel at recreationrooster.org. Great.
Terry Roberson is going to be having a conference in Long Beach on November the 2nd, and it's called the Beach Symposium. So if you're interested in tuning into that, please reach out to me, or you can reach out to Cal State Long Beach's Recreation Therapy Program and get that information. It's a great conference. I went for the past 4 years. I always have a great time. I always feel edified, and I'm able to utilize the skills, the resources and stuff that are provided to me that day in my practice. And it proves to be very, very fruitful, not only for the clients, but also for me. And then also too, Recreation Rooster does have t-shirts. I don't have it on today because I'm repping the Los Angeles Dodgers for the World
Yeah.
Series. However, we do have Recreation Rooster t-shirts for $25. They are gorgeous. Go to our YouTube page or go to our website at www.recreationrooster.org and pick yours up today. Bye.